Hey guys, what's up? It's Auto Mike 18 here with a bit of a discussion video that I have for you guys today. Guys, I just finished filming my movie review for Captain America the Winter Soldier. Yeah, that's right, I'm still wearing the shirt. And guys, I have, I sat down, I finished filming it, and I started thinking to myself, what if I were to do a spoiler-filled review of the movie? I thought to myself, that's actually a good idea. I really like this movie so much. I want to talk about all the cool things that happened in the movie that I couldn't talk about in my actual review that was spoiler-free. So that's why I ultimately decided to do a spoiler-filled review. So that's what this is, guys. I am going to talk spoilers about Captain America the Winter Soldier. I'm going to talk about many of the scenes in the movie. I'm going to talk about the villains and everything. Yes, there are villains in this movie. I'll get into that. I'm going to talk about the post-credit scenes. I'll connect them to Avengers Age of Ultron or whatever. I'm going to go completely all out and go into spoilers with the movie. And I'm not going to talk about every single scene, guys. I'm not going to analyze every scene. I mean, there's just no point in doing that. I'm really going to just discuss some of my favorite scenes and some of the most crucial scenes in the movie. So that's what I'm going to do for the video. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to have to take water breaks because I still cannot get my voice back like it used to be because of this flu that I had. But anyway, so yeah. So, in case you haven't seen the movie yet, guys, this is spoiler heavy, spoiler filled. I'm going to spoil the whole thing. So please don't watch this if you haven't seen the movie yet. But if you haven't seen the movie and you want to watch my review of Captain America the Winter Soldier, I already reviewed the movie. It's already up on my channel. If you guys would check out my spoiler-free review, I'd really appreciate that. Give it a thumbs up. I'd really like that if you guys could do that for me. But anyway, getting to spoilers, and I think I'm going to do this a lot this summer, guys, for a lot of the summer blockbusters that are coming out, especially Transformers Age of Extinction. I think I'll do this for Amazing Spider-Man 2, X-Men Days of Future Past. I don't know, I'm still thinking about it, but if this works out right, I think I'll do this again in the future. But anyway, let's talk Captain America the Winter Soldier spoilers. Before I get into the main plot of the movie, because I could finally discuss it in this video because it's spoiler heavy. I'm going to discuss two early things that happened in the movie that are kind of nitpicks. I didn't lower the movie's score because of these two problems, two minor little problems I had with the movie. I overlooked them and I said, oh, it's alright, I'll let them go. I really don't care. I just had so much fun watching this movie. As you guys know, I gave this movie a very high score. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed the movie. But two things that kind of bothered me in the beginning of the movie, even though I enjoyed both of these scenes. Number one, the whole scene with Cap and Peggy Carter. Now, my jaw dropped when I see a shot of a very frail-looking old woman lying in a bed in some kind of like nursing home or something, and we see Cap talking to her, and automatically, I picked it up. I knew automatically who it was. I'm like, holy shit, it's Peggy Carter. She's still alive. And the first thought that came to my head was, no. I literally said to myself, no way, after all these years. Think about it, guys, 70 years have gone by, and do they really expect me to believe that Peggy Carter is still alive, and that she is, that her and Cap are still in touch? Yeah, I guess I could believe that if she would still be alive, but I don't believe that she would still be alive. Let's think about this for a second, guys. In Captain America the First Avenger, she was young, alright? She was young, but she wasn't that young. Like, if she was 10 years old, then yeah, I could see her still being alive. But she was a young woman in the army, you know? She was firing a weapon, she killed HYRDA soldiers. I figured she had to be at least mid to late 20s in that movie. And that would put her at about 108, somewhere around there, close to about 110 years old. Now, what person in this world has lived past 100? Very few have. And what person has lived to about 110? So she's clearly not, she wasn't that old in Captain America the First Avenger. So that leads me to believe she must have been at least like 21 or 22. Then that would put her in her late 90s, which is still, I mean, that's just really convenient for the plot. Don't get me wrong. That was a very sweet and touching scene. It got to me. Just the fact that Captain America still looks as young as he did in the 1940s, and to have Peggy looking like a very, she's very old, she's frail, she can barely speak, she's coughing in that scene. I felt really bad for both of them in that scene, but I would have felt more, and I would have felt a lot sadder for both of them had I not felt that was all total bullshit. But don't get me wrong, I still like that scene. I just feel it was a little odd for Peggy Carter to still be alive. That being said, I still thought that was nice to see. Excuse me, guys. Anyway, the other thing that kind of bothered me a little bit was not only the fact that Nick Fury died in the like early on in the movie, but the fact that they introduced the whole cover-up story as to why he was actually still alive. Now, don't get me wrong, I was not shocked when I saw that Nick Fury was still alive in the middle of the movie. I think we all were expecting Nick Fury to still be alive. And the main reason why I knew Fury was still alive, and that the Winter Soldier didn't kill him when he sniped him in that one scene in Captain America's house, apartment, I should say. I knew that Nick Fury was still alive because I've seen the trailers, which, by the way, were very not misleading. Very they had too many spoilers in them. I think the trailers gave too much away, and I think I would have benefited had I not seen the trailers, because I knew Fury was still alive because they showed several shots of him in the trailers saying stuff to Captain America or saying stuff to the characters in the movie, and since those scenes didn't happen before his death scene, I knew that he was still alive. So when Maria Hill got Cap and Black Widow and Falcon, and when she rescued them when they were captured by the Winter Soldier and HYRDA, and she rescued them. They went to that secret hideout. I knew that Fury was going to come back into the movie, and when I saw him sitting there and he's like, I was waiting, or whatever he said, I knew that was going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that that's bullshit, that Banner hadn't given him something that would have slowed his heart rate down to make it look like he's dead. I don't know. That's just First off, we've seen that done before, where a character fakes their own death. They're not really dead. They come back in the end of the movie. Don't get me wrong, Fury's that whole scene where the Hydra soldiers attacked Fury in his car, and then there was that wild car chase scene. That was so badass, by the way. I love that scene. But I thought that was just kind of bullshit how, they gave him some serum, and Captain America and Black Widow always believed him to be dead, but he really wasn't, just to, heighten the tension. But anyway, that's just how I feel about that. So, while I didn't mind those things and I overlooked those things, I want to get into a few other things about the movie that I'd like to discuss. Namely, the villain for the movie. Now, this is right in the part of the movie where Cap and Black Widow arrive at the bunker, and you get that feeling, not a feeling of nostalgia, but you get that feeling of, how they tied in the first Captain America to this movie when Cap and Black Widow arrive at the bunker, and you see the shot of the pole, and Captain America has the flashback. I really love that whole sequence. But when they get into the actual bunker and the whole entire plan is revealed to them, I was shocked. Like, my jaw dropped, and I was like, holy crap, this makes a lot of sense. This is why Bucky Barnes is still alive as the Winter Soldier. This makes a hell of a lot of sense now. And when it was revealed that HYRDA was actually the main villain in the movie, I was completely shell-shocked. I mean, I knew that some of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were going after Captain America because the trailer spoiled that. But, I didn't know that HYRDA would still be involved. When Steve Steve had that whole final battle, when there was that whole final battle at that final HYRDA bunker in the end of the First Avenger, and Steve and Red Skull had that whole fight on the ship, and Red Skull evaporated or vanished because of the Tesseract or whatever. I thought that was the end of HYRDA, but it wasn't, because Zola was still alive, and when his face comes on the computer and he describes to Steve how during the origins of S.H.I.E.L.D., HYRDA was, still alive, and they were still going about their ways and, plotting things, and now this whole big plan is revealed involving the Hellcarriers, the 3 Hellcarriers known as Project Insight, and then that ties into the Hydra story. And I thought it was all genius. That's why I really enjoyed the writing for this movie, because it tied to the first one so well. Now, well, I was a little disappointed that Hydra was essentially still the main villain in this movie, because they were the main villain in the first movie. So at first I was like, we already saw Hydra as the main villain. I really don't want to see them again as a villain, but it was different this time around. That was the 1940s Hydra with Red Skull at the head. This one, it was the modern Hydra soldiers, mixed with some S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel who were working with Hydra all along, apparently. Along with Alexander Pierce, played by Robert Redford, and the Winter Soldier, who was like Hydra's, secret weapon this time around. The Winter Soldier was like the Red Skull, but like 10 times stronger. He's not the leader. Yeah, I understand he's not the leader in that sense, but he's the main villain that's going to go head to head against Captain America. And I really liked how they connected Hydra to the Winter Soldier / Bucky Barnes, and how they explained to us why Bucky was still alive, and it makes a lot of sense, because Hydra was experimenting on Bucky's kidnapped unit. Remember in the first movie when Bucky and his whole unit was kidnapped and Captain America went in to go save them. He went into enemy lines, and you had that scene where Cap found Bucky and he was on that table. It makes a lot of sense. They were doing experiments on Bucky, which is why he's been alive this whole time. And when he fell off the train, he just, messed up his arm. So they've been experimenting on him this whole time, and they used him as their secret weapon, or their secret assassin, to go and hunt Captain America in the movie, which I thought was genius. So I loved all of that. The whole plan with Hydra, and the fact that they were working inside S.H.I.E.L.D., and the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was compromised. I really liked that. And by the end of the movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. is completely fallen, and I loved that aspect of this movie, because it poses a lot of questions for Age of Ultron. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. still going to be functioning? How are they going to get the Avengers together now that S.H.I.E.L.D. has, collapsed? Fury is in hiding because he's still alive, and he's headed to Europe to take care of any other Hydra threats that are still out there. S.H.I.E.L.D. is defeated in the movie. Now, I understand that Hydra lost in the end, and they didn't get to carry out their plan of killing every single threat to them, which is, basically every single smart person, Captain America himself, which is why the Hellcarriers started targeting everybody. I thought that was all awesome and everything. But Hydra wasn't the only ones that lost in the end when Cap and Falcon, put the chips into the Hellcarrier system and stopped the attack. S.H.I.E.L.D. lost in the end as well, because, Black Widow uploaded all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secrets and every truth about S.H.I.E.L.D. online. So everyone knew that what Alexander Pierce had done and everything, and everyone knew the real S.H.I.E.L.D. and that it was compromised and everything. Everyone knew about Black Widow's identity and all that. So in the end, Cap and everyone else who was still truthful to S.H.I.E.L.D., they all lost, along with Hydra. So I really liked that aspect of the movie as well. But just the fact that I didn't expect S.H.I.E.L.D. to be compromised and people to be double-crossing S.H.I.E.L.D. And double-crossing Captain America, I really liked that aspect. And that's what made this movie very intense and exciting, because Cap didn't know who to trust. He didn't trust he couldn't trust Frank Grillo's character, who was really working to hunt down Captain America. Frank Grillo, who played Crossbones. Or I forget his real name in the movie, his character's name, but I know his name is Crossbones in the comics. So I really liked that whole aspect of the movie. I thought that was awesome. So the main villain wasn't really the Winter Soldier, and while the Winter Soldier was a badass, and he was an awesome threat for Captain America, I liked the fact that Hydra was the main villain this time around, and that's what completely shell-shocked me, and that's what made this movie so intense, and that's why I love the plot twist in this movie. So I loved all that. Their main plan, while, things got a little convenient at the end of the movie, I still liked it. Project Insight, I thought it was pretty cool, because we didn't expect the Hellcarriers to be used for that purpose. We expected them, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury, everyone good who's good working for S.H.I.E.L.D., expected them to be used to protect people, but Alexander Pierce and Hydra had other intentions for them, but of course they failed. Yeah, I really liked all that with the movie. That opening mission with Cap, I thought that was pretty cool. I really want to briefly mention some of my favorite scenes. Then I'm going to discuss the post-credit scenes real briefly. Excuse me, guys. My favorite action scene in the movie, without a doubt, goes to the freeway scene. Not only because I didn't see it coming, like I saw it in the trailers, but I became so sucked into the movie and what was going on with the story, I completely forgot that Winter Soldier was supposed to ambush Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon on the freeway, on the highway. So when that happened, when he shoved that metallic arm through the car and pulled out Jasper Sitwell, that SHIELD agent, and threw him, and he was hit by the truck, I was like, holy shit, that's right, we're gonna get a whole freeway scene. And then that whole scene, and then when the car pulls over, when the car crashes and Cap gets Falcon and Black Widow out of the car, and HYRDA gives the Winter Soldier the grenade launcher, and he fires it at Cap, and Cap has his shield out, and it still hits him, and he goes flying off the highway, and he goes crashing through a bus. I love anything that involves a person getting shot at, and there's like, not an explosion, but like that person goes flying through or crashing through something. I love that. I thought that was genius. And that whole gunfight scene, and then the fight between Cap and the Winter Soldier, and then the revelation of who the Winter Soldier really was. I thought that was all genius, and that was so entertaining and so intense. And that leads me to another thing. The whole thing with Bucky Barnes being the Winter Soldier, I know it was spoiled in the trailers. I think that they shouldn't have included that in the trailers. And I know a lot of people are going to argue, oh, if you read the comics, we would already know that Bucky Barnes was the Winter Soldier, or whatever. A lot of people were saying, oh, you should know that Bucky Barnes is Winter Soldier. Well, what I'm saying is, I've never read the comics, therefore, I would have rather been surprised that Bucky was still alive, and that would have been an even bigger plot twist for me, but since I saw that coming, it wasn't as exciting as the other plot twists in the story. Namely with the whole HYRDA thing, and the plot twist at the end with the compromising of S.H.I.E.L.D. But anyway, I loved the Nick Fury action scene in the beginning of the car chase. That was great. And of course, the final action scene was so badass. Cap is just picking off HYRDA soldiers. You got Falcon flying around. I love that suit Falcon had. And he's got guns. He's like pulling them out, shooting at people. The Quinjets are firing at them. You got all these, action scenes and fighting, and just everything is just so awesome and badass. And the final fight scene between Cap and the Winter Soldier like shoots Cap like several times, and I'm like, holy shit, Cap can take a bullet because he's freaking Captain America. And then again, and you had that whole intense scene with Black Widow, Nick Fury, and Alexander Pierce, where Nick Fury makes that entrance, and you have Alexander Pierce confronting the World Security Council, and then Black Widow reveals that she's the female, and she was in disguise. I thought that was genius. My whole audience was applauding like crazy. So I loved all those scenes, guys. But like I said, my favorite scene, definitely, while I love the final action sequence and to the final fight between Cap and the Winter Soldier, I gotta give it to the freeway fight and the revelation of the Winter Soldier to Cap. I thought that was genius. I loved it. And a lot of other scenes I really enjoyed as well. And even the scene where Cap was chasing the Winter Soldier after he shot Nick Fury, I thought that was great. So yeah, guys, that's really it. That's basically everything that I wanted to discuss in terms of spoilers. Real quickly, getting into the post-credit scene. Oh my goodness, my jaw not only dropped when I saw Loki's scepter. I mean, I knew that HYRDA was still out there because Nick Fury mentioned it. Because HYRDA still is out there, and it looks like they're going to be a threat for Age of Ultron. But the fact that they have Loki's scepter, my whole audience that stood for that scene, we were just in absolute shock. And then when they show the two hostages, and it's Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and we see Aaron Taylor Johnson, aka Kick-Ass, and Elizabeth Olsen, not a fan of her, but we see the two of them in jail, and they're like dealing with their powers. Quicksilver is running all over the place, and Scarlet Witch is trying to control things with her mind. I got so excited, I yelled out at the screen. I was like, yes! I can't wait for Age of Ultron. And most of my audience didn't get it, but I did, because I know that both of them are going to be in the movie. So with that being said, guys, those are my thoughts on Captain America the Winter Soldier. I loved the post-credit scene. I loved the ending of the movie. I love all the action scenes. I love who the main villain was. Essentially, it wasn't really the Winter Soldier. He was just a physical threat for Captain America, and that was awesome, their fight scenes. So that's really it, guys. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching my spoiler-filled review. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry that it's about 20 minutes, but I had a lot to discuss, actually. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and check out my spoiler-free review of the movie. I'd really appreciate that. Bye, guys.